What's up, everyone? It's Gavin or Tweek.
What up, what up? It's Charles or Chuck, and unfortunately, Haz is feeling a little sick, and Pink, fortunately, is in the living room with the fam, so wishing the best of luck to Pink. So, we are going to bring our producer on for this episode. What up, Chris?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Long time listener, big time fan. Love this show.
This
No,
is the first time reveal, right?
what's that?
This is the first time reveal to the viewers, I think.
Yeah, as far as who's behind here, you may have randomly seen me on I don't know, random things. Like I feel like when Tweeks has been like at a platinum star or something, if I've been on like commentary, just like I said, very randomly, because like I don't really commentate. I kind of just do a little bit of everything as far as Smash goes, like behind the scenes, I guess. But yeah, nice, happy to be here.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So before we get into all the different topics we got cooking for you guys this week, just going to chill out real quick. If you guys enjoy the content, make sure to support us. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow us if you're on Spotify. Hit the like button. And, of course, if you want to support us even more, check out our Patreon where we have a bunch of bonus content. We're actually going to be recording a bonus segment today, answering one of the questions from our patrons, talking about how to deal with frustration within the game of Ultimate. And that's a very deep question, so it's going to be a pretty fun topic. And I mean, I think for the most part, all of us, it's pretty hard to deal with frustration in general, so I'm just going to say that. So yeah, I guess we can just get right into the tournaments though, right? So there was a ton of tournaments this week. We got Momocon, we got Combo Breaker, and then there was also, what was the last one?
Gateway Legends.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess we can start with Momocon. I was there commentating that tournament along with Haz, and Light was able to take that first place. I don't think that was too much of a surprise, just because Light versus Sonics, like Light has such a great set count on him. Sonics was able to take
Light was the first seed as well. So
yes, so that was really fun to watch.
Yeah, Sonics ended up taking his first set off of Light in winners, and I feel like that really woke Light up. Like I think he only dropped like one game or something after going to losers. Aaron also got fourth place with Diddy. Shoutouts to Aaron. We talked a lot throughout the weekend, talking about matchups and exchanging notes and everything. So shoutouts to you, Aaron. I know you really wanted top 8, so top 4 is even better. Shoutouts to Light. He was pretty motivated after Battle of BC to like get back to the grind, and this is definitely a really good start. Shouts to Sonics getting his first W over Light and getting second place at the event. DD getting third place, got top 8 last time, doing even better this time. Yeah, pretty interesting event.
Yeah, you competed last year at Momocon, and I believe you got fourth place. And that was the cool thing about that tournament last year was the introduction to your Sephiroth. That's when you started bringing out Sephiroth a lot more in tournament. So that was really cool to see. ChunkyKong got
I was
top
about to
8.
say, that's an important one. DK getting top 8.
That's your boy, dude. DK?
Yeah.
Did you see the last edge guard? He body blocked Cosmos from grabbing the ledge. Like, he could have just ran off Naird or done anything else, but the fact that he used Donkey Kong's big body to use the unit collision off stage was pretty crazy.
ChunkyKong's play is very like sound as someone who's experienced with DK. Like, he uses like pretty much anything he can. He's so great with down B. He knows his percents. He's so great with like the stage counter picks. Like, he knows everything he needs to know like specifics. Like, he gets all the 2 frames with the F tilt. He does up B at a disadvantage if he has to get creative and do something quick, but like, vulnerable. Yeah, getting top 8 with DK is really cool. Like, specifically, I feel like ChunkyKong is so great showing off like all the buffs DK got towards the end of the patches.
Yes.
So I really enjoy watching pretty much every set he's played over the last year or two.
I mean, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, if you're using Donkey Kong, you're always at such a severe disadvantage. So whenever you see someone at like a top level Donkey Kong, you obviously understand this game on a certain level where you just, I don't know, you're good at like, I guess, different options, right? Like option select. Like you just kind of get creative because you have to get used to one getting comboed to hell, or, how do you get ahead? Like that's why you see so much cheese, but it's really just how he has to play the game.
I feel like this reminds me a lot of one of our most popular bits on the show, which is talking about the heavy lifestyle. It literally requires like a different part of your Smash brain, which is like pretty much what you're getting at. Like, so I feel like that's why a heavy is so appreciated at top level, because like it's really just something different. And when they're playing well, like, like DK, like as cheesy as he can be, I never associate him with that. I associate him with fundamentals like 90% of the time, using a lot of walking, a lot of tilts, like knowing a lot of specific windows and percents. Like it's kind of like playing this strange, like, you're kind of like a sword character with your long limbs, or like, walking a lot and like making sure you're not like exploiting yourself with your own big body and like running into trouble and everything. So he's really like, he can really be like boiled down to such a beautiful like science to me if you play so much DK. And there's a couple other heavies that I feel that passionate about, but DK is a special one, so it's really cool to see him do well.
Yeah, obviously you're one of, if not the best Donkey Kong in Smash 4, right? So I think there's definitely a special place in your heart for that character.
Yeah.
And for me, when I watch Chunky, I agree with Gavin that it's so fundamental. Like watch Chunky Kong play and watch how grounded he is. Watch how disciplined he is, because he knows that once he gets hit, it's pretty much Jover, right? Like you're gonna take so much damage. You're gonna be in disadvantage
Can't get off the
forever.
ledge.
Right. It's so tough. So you have to be disciplined. And even just watching him play, like getting a W on Cosmos against Aegis and Joker, that's so hard to do. And then on top of that, taking a game off Wrath. And I thought that game was going to go to game 5. And I think even on Twitter, I don't know if it was Chunky Kong or other Donkey Kong players, but I think it was a Chunky Kong tweet saying that offline he thinks the matchup's even, which is like wild for me to comprehend. I don't know if I can agree with that, but obviously he has way more experience with Donkey Kong, knows way more about the character than I do. So I will say that down B stopping spin dash and spin charge is
and it got buffed. It has a lot less end lag, so
right. So you could potentially combo off of it, maybe frame trap off of it, right? So that is a very key thing, because there's a lot of characters that can't take Sonic out of spin dash or spin charge or beat Sonic out of that. And he would even like on reaction down tilt Clank with it too. So I was very impressed with how Chunky was playing the matchup. I don't know if it's even, but Chunky Kong at the very least made it doable. Yeah. And he was getting like killing Wrath with a grab at like 50% with range. Like it was pretty ridiculous on PS2. Yeah. So very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, my final thing on DK really is kind of connecting to what you're talking about, like his grounded neutral discipline, like because you have to play, like the disadvantage is so severe. And it's the same thing with like managing your shield, because your shield is going to get bullied a lot. You're a big target, but you also don't have strong out of shield options. But a lot of your win conditions can be done out of shield. Like if you can manage to get a grab, so you're kind of like figuring out the whole game, like what you can grab, what you can't. You have the super armor up B out of shield that can got buffed as well, so it's way stronger. And you have like a decent rising area out of shield, but it's not going to hit anyone on the ground. So managing your win conditions around like playing really disciplined and walking and managing your shield, because your shield's going to be getting hit a lot, but you're not going to be punishing them for it most of the time. So really, like DK is such a cool character, and like I said, I feel like there's a general surface level like outlook on him where he's just a stupid, like brainless, just cheese lord.
It's slander.
But honestly, it's quite the opposite if you really get to know the character and play him. Like, if you land the crazy stuff, like cool, but most of the time it's not going to be that simple, and it kind of boils down to like other win conditions. But
especially at top level, I feel like at maybe like mid or lower level, DK could be degenerate.
No one's going to be dash attack forward airing, and no one's getting hit by that forward air or whatever at top level. Like, but there's weird resets that can you can kind of knowledge check people with DK, right? Like you get like a cargo throw, you hit them with one aerial, then they press a button and you down air them back into a grab. Like that's the kind of thing that's more likely to happen. But even then, like, it's kind of like you cash out like once a stock in a best of 3 or best of 5, and you really got to manage your decision making. But yeah, Momocon was cool. I watched a lot, especially because I was, wanted to see how Light did. I wanted to see Aaron do well. Chunky Kong was like a pleasant surprise.
WebJP was also a pleasant surprise too. I'm always a fan of Sheik getting into any of these top 8. So shout out to WebJP.
Oh yeah,
on the Sheik, yeah.
He's always improving as well. And then there's Gateway Legends, which I was also watching for similar reasons, but I was watching because I wanted to see Peanut, like any Peanut match I could, because I've been playing Mega Man lately.
Oh, we're gonna get into the Mega Man lore soon.
Yeah, and I've been chatting with Peanut like every day about like improving with the character and stuff. So I wanted to watch any match of his that I could, and that was cool. And my girlfriend's also just a big fan of Mega Man as a character. So we're just watching. We're just like popping off at every little thing, just because like, oh, you should be doing that more. Like, how does he do this? How does he do that? So it was a lot of fun watching. I mainly watched those two tournaments for my own personal reasons, but also to stay up to date for this recording today. So.
Yeah, and Luis was able to take first place. Congrats to Luis. Followed up by
Palutena getting a W is like a
very rare thing
Yeah,
nowadays.
that's pretty cool. You haven't seen
it's
that
like clearing
since like
some of the
2019,
pollution
dude.
community
Yeah.
just a little bit.
It's been a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But if you're holding it, honestly, the way you hold it down with Palutena is very impressive because there's been nothing really advancing with that character other than just getting better.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, whereas there's other characters where just the meta grows and people just get better. Or, in addition to people getting better, in addition to just learning more things. And Palutena is just like very like, if you're good at the game, she's got the tools.
Yeah.
Use them how you will.
You're not going to catch anyone off guard is the hardest thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like to call them toolbox top tiers. And I feel like Wolf kind of falls into that category, but then I also think Wolf has a bit of a higher ceiling than Palu just because and now the ceiling is like
they branch
almost not realistic because you have to do these like frame 1 to 2 links with specific drifts and stuff like that with Wolf to really optimize the character, which is like, it's possible, but are you going to do that in tournament kind of thing? Like probably not, right? And so it is really cool to see some of these characters that have already reached their ceiling, but we're still seeing players just using their own growth to push wins with these characters, right? Instead of like, oh, okay, this character's elevating higher and higher and higher along with my skill.
I kind of like the commitment to just using the character, really. Like, I think sometimes you get stuck in the comfort of just using the same character, and it's like you kind of just have out your career, but, like, seeing Louis Money actually, like, win a tournament, and, like, like I said, like, this is in 2019. It's been 4 years since this game has been out, and, like, I don't know, that was an early pick, like, really popular, and got the results and then drifted away, so, like, if you could bring that back, like, kind of, like, full circle, that's, like,
that uncertainty that you were talking about with like playing a character for so long is like one of the hardest things you can do, I think, as a top level competitor in Ultimate. Like really digging deep and questioning your character choices, or your own gameplay, and you know, I struggle with this every tournament. I talk about this with other top players pretty much every tournament. Like, you know, do I change this? Do I change this character? Blah blah blah. Like, so I know how it feels to like struggle at a tournament and then like try to decide what's next. You know, and I think of like Mudace with Peach or like Luis with Palutena in this specific instance, and like so that relief of winning a big tournament, like okay, like this was worth it. Like, you know, I didn't do something quote unquote wrong. You know what I mean? That feels really good. Like especially when it's a character you've been sticking with for so long. So shouts to Luis, and AK got second with Snake, which is kind of more along the realm of what I was watching with like Mega Man and whatnot. He's another like character of that archetype. And AK is just like such a household name. We say this on every tournament recap, I feel like, where he's in top 8 or even better. He's even won a couple pretty big tournaments. So that's another character that always catches my eye that I've never really stuck to. But I think I'm going to go with Mega Man instead.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about Mega Man once we get done with all the tournaments, and then we got some upcoming tournaments too. But I'm very interested to get into that because that's all you were talking about on that damn boat on Battle of BC, talking about Mega Man and all that stuff. But I think it's an interesting topic because especially when you're seeing other players have success, right? Where it's like, okay, well, Tweek used to be one of, if not the best Cloud in Smash 4, right? So like, why can't he replicate that here? Spargo, there's another one of his peers that is also just replicating practically solo Cloud, except for like maybe 2 or 3 matchups. Now, Spargo considered the best in the world with Cloud, right? And it's like, oh, well, I used to be able to play this character, but I'm just not vibing with him, or I'm just not clicking right now, right? And even for Luis, like we said, sticking out with Palutena, he used to have a like Pocket Fox, or used to co-main with Fox. We used to see it come out a lot more pre-quarantine, but even seeing the success with Light, but seeing Luis sticking it out with the Palutena, right, and stuff like that. So seeing
A lot of tough decisions.
Luis,
I
you're
feel
right.
like.
There's so many tough decisions
'Cause-
as a player, right? And
And he's had a lot of characters, no? Like, hasn't he like played
You
a lot
gotta
of
stop by and play
Rob,
some
characters?
Siege
yeah.
and Resident
Like,
Evil later. All right, brother.
it's a hard choice, right? Especially if you got Rob on the table. Rob, a character that's been relevant and is successful no matter what era in Smash Ultimate you go to, right? So
Yeah.
there's so many tough choices, and we're kind of getting into the part of Ultimate where it's a lot harder to switch characters, right? And I think Tweek can specifically talk about this topic because the first like year or two, I mean, Tweek was he won a tournament with Roy in grand finals specifically as a counter pick, and almost felt like you could counter pick on the fly in the middle of a tournament where you like maybe played the character for a couple hours or something like that, right? But nowadays it feels like players have to really, really commit to some of these characters for long periods of time to find success with them because we're kind of getting into the late game, right?
Yeah. It's that's also a tough decision, and we've talked about that before with like over quarantine, where it was the best opportunity for me specifically to give Diddy a shot, and it's honestly like my favorite moment of Ultimate, and I had some of the most fun because in the early Ultimate I had so many frustrations with the game, but I was going to a tournament the next week, so I didn't really have a chance to make a decision. So I would just go back to Wario or Wolf, like what was getting me success before. So yeah, it is definitely risky to switch characters, and I think it makes it even harder for some of these players because some of these players have been doing the same thing for 2 games straight,
Yeah.
and sometimes that pays off, and sometimes you second guess like the route you chose. So it can be pretty existential.
Yeah.
that's a good topic in itself, actually. The way you said it too is like
Yeah,
it's the reality though, especially for
yeah,
Smash 4 vets. That's tough, man. You just select a character, and again, the comfort gets you. You get cozy up, and then you get a little
yeah.
tilted. Of all you tilt all the way to sleep as you lose sets and when you
Shout outs
think
to
you're playing.
Mute.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Mute.
But Mutace is like super good. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think any issues that Mutace might be having right now is probably like more of a mental. Like, because you could see it in the gameplay is obviously super good. So it's
yeah,
like at any moment, and we kind of talk. I don't know if this is a good segue for Mega Man, but like we talked about creativity and characters that you have, right? So it's like kind of that's like a vibe character. So like if you're having a
yeah.
good day or like you're feeling it, you just get like the right things. Even like Peach, especially the literal RNG. Like you just pick up a bomb and like guess it's my day. Like so it's like that
Time.
stuff. And then there's like the in between stuff, in between the Z drops, just creativity, just to mix things
Yeah.
up. So it's tough
It's
sticking
just
out with
Mute
that
is
though.
someone I've had the conversation with about like what are we doing? We should be playing these easier characters. Look at all the success these people are having. But by the end of the weekend, we come back to the same decision where we're like, screw this. Like we've always done things our way. Like we're gonna do what we want to do, and we're gonna stick with it. So yeah, shout outs to anyone that's had character struggles out there and sticks with it, or had the confidence to make a switch, because that's not easy either.
That's
Um,
actually, I think, one of the toughest ones. I've
yeah,
even seen that. Like, I know we kind of glossed over really quick. We brought up WebJP, but I kind of thought about this as it got brought
yeah,
up because he's got results now, and he's using Sheik now, like pretty exclusively.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
WebJP went from being like a Lucas main and like doing all of the Lucas stuff, like so impressive. You're just like, wow, would you ever drop this character? Like you're the goat,
yeah,
like you're
Oh yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Like you watch it and it shows, and then you see like then he went to ZSS. And you're like, I don't know, man. But then, like, he's getting the results, each tournament getting better. Like, all right, I could see it, I could see it. And then again switches to
another switch.
Sheik,
Yeah,
which you would think is, like, the opposite direction you'd go after playing, like, ZSS for a bit. But like that's the case in point though is like he realized Lucas was sort of like probably a limiter for him, like had some kind of cap, and then said I can't deal with this even though I'm really good, and then like now is getting results with like 2-3 characters later. Like it's
yeah,
possible, but it's not for the weak of stomach. Like you got to be willing to grind because like
yeah.
I could tell you
Absolutely.
WebJP at least in his case like the dude just grinds. He's going to
I mean,
locals like
even
all the
looking at
time.
Momocon with Light winning, right?
Yeah.
Like Light's had his thoughts on like just last week he was saying I would be the best wolf in the world, bro. What am I doing? Like, but I just can't stop playing Fox, blah blah blah, and like he is the definition of one character, and he just shows up and plays that character to. It's pretty much peak Fox, like when he's playing well. So
It's a
And
very
that's
large gap between
Yeah.
Light and other Foxes. And the impressive thing about Light and most other players in this upper echelon is they have to figure it out themselves, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
even you think year 1, year 2 of Ultimate, a lot of people didn't think too highly of Fox. Obviously, the game was a lot different back then.
Yeah.
We didn't really have a lot of things figured out. But Light and all the other Fox players had figured things out. Like, oh, okay, it's not about tilt combos like it was in Smash 4. It's pretty much about platform tech chase. It's all about tech chasing, right? Put them on a platform, tech chase them there. Put them on the ground, tech chase them there. And that's where you get these like 50 to 80% strings because you're lining up air combos, which are essentially the backbone of Fox, right? Utilizing forward air obviously did get buffed, so that was one of the main intentions and stuff like that. But just figuring out how to recover with the character and if the character is worth investing, because I think that was the big thing in the beginning of Ultimate, right? It's like, okay, crap, like we're all trying to figure out this game, but which characters bang for my buck in terms of like time investment, right? Because even Web JP, when you think about it, Lucas can be really crazy and technical, but what's the return, right? If you do the Zaire cancel, it's like 3 damage. Do it across the whole stage, it's like X amount of frame tight inputs for 10 damage or 15 damage. Okay, you get a corner carry, but then there's other characters where when you do technical shit, obviously I would bring up the biggest glaring character that takes the most advantage of this. You look at Steve, and this character on hit, you do some frame tight stuff, boom, 0 to death, like bada bing, right? So there's definitely different returns when it comes to time investment, and you also got to think about just the strength of the character in like neutral and just in the general meta game as well. And all of these things are going on in your brain, and you still want to have fun playing the game, and you still want to have that motivation too. And I think for Gavin picking Mega Man, even though on paper, and I've always give Gavin like my on paper perspective of the game, and whether as long as Gavin knows the on paper perspective, and then he can like from there pick, okay, well I kind of don't want to do that, but I'd rather do this for like the motivation, or I think this is cooler, or I think I would play the game more like this, and that's fine, right? You can have your character picks however much you want, and it doesn't have to. You want different perspectives. You don't necessarily want someone telling you what characters to pick, but you just get a bunch of different perspectives, and then you get all of that information, and then you make a decision.
Yeah, I think the narrative for this week is like, because we also had Dabuz winning Combo Breaker without losing a single game, and we look at like some of the first place finishers from this weekend: Light, Luis, Dabuz. They've been playing for a while, and they've been playing across 2 Smash games at least. Like Dabuz playing even more. Like the hills and valleys that come with like character choices and competing and all the different matchups and the meta game and the different games themselves. And I'm sure this is quite the confidence booster for all 3 of them. Sticking to things they've been practicing for the last few years and actually, getting a tournament W, especially because like, not any of these tournaments were like, a Genesis or SmashCon level tournament, but they were all fairly large. So they were spread out across a few tournaments. I'm sure this is like a pretty big confidence booster for these guys going into, the upcoming like major tournaments.
Well, especially like you think about Dabuz, especially who's kind of just recent, like had I guess we'll call it a slump just for the sake of the English vocabulary, but like he went to Japan. I don't think he went there in a good mindset in terms of. I remember him saying like I'm gonna do poorly here because Japan has all the character specialists and a lot of variety over there, but sure enough comes out like a brand new man. So kind of to me, what this shows me is like you mentioned, basically all of that years of just doing stuff, it doesn't really go away. Like realistically, you never get worse. That just literally makes 0 sense. Like you only get better, but being able to tap into it is different. And I think, that's a mental state, right? So, again, case in point with the Buzz, like, you could slump as much as you want for as long as you want, but you come back and win a tournament, not dropping a game, like, whatever, I do this all the time.
He fought to the death.
You don't forget that. Like, that's a loop for him. He's done this before. Like, that's like...
He was fighting at Kaguribi. And then he goes to Combo Breaker, doesn't even get scathed.
Yeah,
He's good.
Dude's good. Leveled up a lot. I think Dabuz learned a lot in Japan, and I think I was also talking to him. Well, me and Haz had breakfast with Dabuz. Me and Haz have breakfast with a lot of people. We had breakfast with Dabuz, and he was talking about how he learned a bunch of Rosa tech just from like watching the Rosas or fighting against the Rosas in Japan. So, and was able to apply it to his gameplay. And the thing about players like Dabuz that have incredible fundamentals, incredible experience, when you sprinkle on even just a little bit of tech that adds just a couple more options in these specific scenarios, those players can take it a very, very long way, because it's not like their base is tech, right? When I think of players where their base was technical stuff and then they had to learn things afterwards, I think of like Void, right? So Void was someone who was like crazy on hit, was super crazy lab rat, had all the tech with Sheik and Smash 4. And then when he traveled, or when he moved to California, what he had to catch up on was, the fundamentals, the experience, last stock, last hit scenarios, right? When to save all your different tricks for what scenarios and all that stuff. So really cool to see the buzz with the resurgence and just having an extremely clean tournament at Combo Breaker, man. Not dropping a single game, that is pretty
It's
crazy.
balling, dude. That's so cool. That's like, didn't drop a game. Like, there's a whole venue full of people. No one takes a game. It's incredible.
Like I was saying, like it's pretty interesting, especially leading up into like, there's things like Gommel coming up. There's SmashCon. And it's just cool seeing some of these players that have been playing for so long, like get like a small breakthrough. And that's exactly what Light and I were talking about. Battle of BC kind of motivated us, and we were both saying like we're gonna show up like, better for like, where I'm going to Crown this weekend, so is he, and we're both kind of just motivating each other for the upcoming events. And because there's so many talented players that are just either dominating right now or on their way to dominating. So if you want to keep up, you have to be in the right headspace, I feel like.
100%. I think this. We don't have to go on the tangent, but I think this kind of tangents would just like just what good mindsets and kind of taking care of yourself does, because like you could really see it with you guys, especially like, and when I say you guys, I mean like Tweek, you've been playing this game for how many years, and then the other people were talking about playing this game for how many years, like.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's a good reminder, really, that like kind of it could be anyone's day at any point. So it's really easy to get down about results in this game, but when you like kind of understand how many years people have baked into this game for them to just sort of win a tournament after not really getting results for a while, like it kind of it's from some perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
If anything.
Yeah, we got Crown coming up as well. That's a very exciting tournament, and I know you're going, right, Tweek?
Yeah.
So we got Tweek, we got Spargo, Leo, Light, and I think those are the top 4 seeds, if I'm not mistaken here.
There you go. It's already a fucking big deal.
It's already the top 4 North American players, pretty much, gonna be there. So, and then there's also some Japanese talent showing up as well. So I'm very excited for this tournament. And I don't know. Would you say the Mega Man's gonna be ready for this tournament? Probably not, right? Like I feel like the Mega Man's gonna take a little while to prepare, just because of how complex the character is. It really reminds me of Diddy in a sense where, but the thing about Diddy is you had all of quarantine to prep the character. We don't even know if there was a timeline with no COVID/quarantine. Tweek might have not even committed to Diddy just because you were talking about earlier, right? Tweek, where it was like, oh, okay, well, I just didn't really feel like I had time to prep another tournament. You would always look in the past and get your data from the past and be like, okay, what worked for me before? Okay, I guess I'll recycle this top tier. Yeah, I'll recycle this top tier or try this again, or you know what I mean? I think it was very hard for you to get into a headspace to look into the future of the meta and be like, okay, what if I sink time into this character that not a lot of people think too highly of, but okay, we got some buffs going on here for Diddy, right? The recovery helps. The Bananas Transcendent, maybe there is something to work with here, but it's going to take time to prep.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it will be ready, and that usually doesn't stop me from like using these things in tournament anyway, because I'm usually all about like the long term. So if I'm cornered, I might pull it out just for the fans. But yeah, when I'm playing him, it's cool because he's kind of Diddy Kong adjacent in terms of like there's a lot of crazy options and creativity. I'm kind of finding the strengths and weaknesses and like comparing the two characters. Not to say I didn't pick up Mega Man because he like helps Diddy or anything. It's just for fun. Like I've just always liked the character, and the Mega Man players or like my supporters in general have been so like supportive of this decision. Like Peanut's helping me every day when I streamed yesterday. After every game, they give me a little bit of advice, and not only are they giving advice, they also seem genuinely like having a good time watching me play and everything. So the environment has been really, really nice. But yeah, like, you know, when I'm playing him, I'm like, oh, he does this better than Diddy, but he does this a lot worse than Diddy, and like, it's kind of similar but different. Something cool about Mega Man is how he's like an anti-camping camper. Like, he's that type of character. Like, if he's fighting like someone like Duck Hunt, it's like, oh, if you want to play that game, I'm gonna play it better. Where Diddy isn't really, it's not quite the same. You know, Mega Man's a lot heavier, so I'm always getting, you know, I'm getting so many more chances to learn and play the game, and he has some extra kill power and like stray hits. But I feel like his general disadvantage is a lot worse. Like, Diddy can fly around and be like really tricky to catch, whereas Mega Man, it's more so like catching him that first time is really hard, but when you catch him, you can really make him pay.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
He's that weight, that perfect weight where you just
yeah,
get comboed like crazy.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has a lot of options once he's out of hit stun. But that's how I felt whenever I played against Mega Man myself, where, you know, if I was playing Diddy versus Mega Man, it's super annoying. But once I got my hands on him, it was like fighting Captain Falcon or something. It's like perfectly reasonable to just get a hit and possibly convert it into a stock. So I've been learning a lot. I'm trying to apply like one or two different things every time I sit down and play. Now that I'm streaming it, like, I have people watching it live, so I might be able to adjust things in real time. But it can be frustrating too. Like, my brain overheats so much faster than when I'm playing a character I'm used to. Because playing Diddy is like breathing now. Like, even like all the crazy hard stuff, like on a bad day I can play it. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I'm trying to take it one step at a time. But I'm also such a unreasonable person. Like, I want to be the best in the world in 5 minutes. Like, I want to learn everything. So it's
You're
also why a character like Mega Man is good for me, because I'm gonna be learning so many fucking things.
well.
It's never gonna end.
I already told you, you've already taken this one step towards. We established for the show that Mega Man is in fact a boomer character. So it's like this is
Oh,
like
for sure.
this is like the beginning of your retirement arc where you just have this character. You're setting the stage, and I appreciate what you're doing. Keeping us older fans interested.
I'm
Old
always
people
talking
rejoice.
I'm always talking about like my favorite characters for the most part are like the Brawl newcomers. I know Mega Man isn't one of those, but he's like,
He's a Smash 4 newcomer, and
yeah, I
that's like a
love like
different era.
Mario, Diddy Kong,
Yep.
Pokemon Trainer. Like, some of those characters I feel like have the most charm, and I just think Mega Man, like, every individual move, like design wise and like animations, like, I just feel like he's
Perfect.
just perfect.
He's
Like,
he's
just
he's
perfect.
perfect. Such a handsome little guy too. Well built. Dr. Light knew what he was doing. So yeah, I could harass you another time about when you're gonna play more Mega Man games, because I just decided now this makes you accountable now that I confront you
Yeah.
on this stage.
Don't worry, it's already been like a topic among friends and just in my own head. Like,
I think you'll
you
like
got,
them more than you think.
you got to
Like
do it. It took
yeah,
me too long with FF7 with like Cloud and
and
Sephiroth
this
and
is like you're
everything.
talking like 100+ hour game to like a 2 hour game.
Yeah,
So it's like
I
you
I,
could,
I will
Oh, some of the
definitely.
older ones, yeah, they're really
dude, you
quick.
could play Mega Man 2. I'll save that. But you could play Mega Man 2, and you could theoretically beat that game in like an hour. Even on your first go, I bet you could probably beat that game in like
We
two
were saying this
hours.
before
It's a
we
little
started
broken, that
recording
one.
that like for Chris, like, Mega Man being put in Smash like was a big like changer in terms of how invested he was in Smash and everything.
This
And
show
for
might
me, it's
not
what brought me
exist.
back into Smash. So
This show might not exist, Gavin, if Mega Man was never announced.
yeah,
If I wasn't
what
at
is
my
happening?
initial
Why is this
like
just the Mega Man show?
that's what started the career in Smash, man. I don't know, something about that reveal trailer, like my
Yes.
brain, I don't know what happened. There was like some kind of neuron activation. I was just like, I can do Smash stuff now. Like, this is crazy. I have to do this. And then that's like when I made Master Hand, yeah.
One of
Yeah.
the most iconic Smash locals in the history of time from 2GG, Mega Smash Mondays.
Yeah, dude,
Mega
and
Man
just the
theme.
character just revolves around greatness. It really does. So it's a great choice for you right now. Like when we were saying, like just like the most random players, like Plup was maining Mega Man, and then
That was so cool.
like
Yeah.
Pete from Monomonoguchi, like so, and then you get like freaking Le'Veon Bell from like
Oh
NFL
my
football
god, I
player.
forgot
Like it's
about
just
that
like
one.
that's like the Mega Man is like the roots. He's literally Gears of
He's just
in the
bringing
background, you
things
know.
from every avenue into
That's what he
Smash
does. That's
Bros.
this whole thing. He takes your powers. It's good. This is a positive Good positive.
Yeah, I can't believe you haven't played Mega Man 2. That is a
I
classic.
have actually played that one, but I haven't I like tried it for like a few
I'll be
minutes, and
honest with
because
But you
you.
didn't beat
I'll
it.
be
Okay.
honest
I
with
was
you.
just so excited for Mega Man to be in Smash, and they put it on the 3DS shortly after all that stuff.
Remember that? Yeah, yes. So if you're gonna play again, play Mega Man 6 or Mega Man 9. Just jump to the best. That, in my opinion,
Sure
that's like the
thing.
culmination. We'll do. That's a topic for another time. But
Yeah.
at
And
least,
I've also always talked about how good I think the character is, so why not try to put my own spin on it?
Yeah, you do
And
have
we
a
talk
lot of
about
faith
this
in the
all the
character.
time where like my blessing and curse is like if I'm not like super fully invested in some craziness in Smash, like I'm just gonna burn out so fast. Like I'm just not gonna want to play anymore. So I like giving myself a little spark once in a while, and something like this is definitely good.
you gotta
But it
have
also makes
fun.
me appreciate Diddy
Yeah.
because Diddy is never leaving, and he's like the back of my hand at this point. So um,
Well, now you just get a
it,
free item in hand whenever you want it. You get to do whatever you want with it. So it's
yeah,
like, what more could you want?
I'm definitely carried by things like that. I can't live without uh, free neutral type of things where I can bully people with my presence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Metal Blade, Banana.
He's also hard. Like I said, like
Yeah.
I'm physically exhausted after like playing
A
him
lot
for a
of
few
inputs
hours.
too. A whole
Yeah,
lot of
like
inputs.
because every move is like so weird and like I just don't understand them, and it's so hard to like Leaf Shield is like hard to use, like just hard to
It's
move around
clunky.
with it, and then you can also B reverse it or wave bounce, like it's
Cancel
just
it.
yeah, all the cancels. Like when I mess up like one cancel, like I'm raging. Like so it's been pretty exhausting, but it's also a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And
even Bear has like some cool drag down
Yeah.
properties you can do for like strings. You can do drag down Bear
yes,
into like up tilt, reverse up
yes.
tilt, which is like super
And it's
cool.
so annoying trying to because it's 3 hit move and you got to land 2 of the 3 hits for it to be a true combo. And I just keep messing up, or I land the back air and then I up tilt the wrong fucking way because I don't turn around in time.
But do you
Uh,
enjoy the challenge of the inputs? I guess
oh,
is
absolutely,
yeah. So
absolutely.
like I'll just have you know, just one last little shill. That's like actual Mega Man games are kind of like that with like your short
Yeah,
hops and jab in. So the way he plays the game is pretty true to form. I was saying that too, like before we started, where it's ironic that to dismantle like really good Mega Man, you basically just have to get him to flowchart because then he's literally just
yeah,
like a boss battle in real time, like how the
yeah.
games work, and you could
That's
defeat
what
him
you're
as
trying to
such.
avoid as the player,
Yes.
right? Like I was voicing a lot of frustrations when I was learning the character, where it's like I commit to a decision, and then if it doesn't work, I start panicking and like scrapping, and it's like I want to get as comfortable with the character where it doesn't feel like I have to do something like that. Because it's not like he's terrible up close, but I don't want to like when I'm fighting like Pyramithra, I don't want to feel like I
You don't
have
want
to
to be
rely
close.
on like just scrapping too much. Like I want to have a really crazy comfortability with the character, so that's what I'm working on. I'll definitely be playing him. Like if I do doubles or something, or if I'm playing friendlies, I'll definitely be playing him. I don't know about tournament quite yet, because solo Diddy has done me success in the past. So
Yeah, definitely not this weekend. I was just looking at the crown roster. You don't want to. That tournament's too deep, man. This is not the tournament for
yeah,
a fun character.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know if you.
Send Diddy.
This is kind of crazy, dude.
Diddy Congo.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking like what you find in pools of here is probably pretty good too. So it's just like that's where you have
Yeah,
to be careful. Where if you're in a region and there's enough people traveling to it, where you might get
yeah.
snuck even with your main like low and
I can't
value.
even I can't really afford to like do another quarantine thing where because there's tournaments actively happening like every
Yeah,
weekend.
you
So
don't have that
I
cushion.
can't just hibernate and figure out Mega Man. I'm gonna have to like space it out and like
Friendlies for
slowly
now. It's okay.
do what I can.
Let it develop.
Um, but I mean, when it comes down to character decisions in general, like I talk to so many people and top players and all my peers, Charles, everyone, um, like about like I want it to feel worth it when I play a character. And with Diddy, it's always felt worth it. You know,
Yeah.
and sometimes it doesn't quite feel like I can do it with just Diddy, but it always feels like he's a great character and he's worth it. And there's so many things to learn. And with Sephiroth, sometimes like once that enters my brain, I feel like I gotta cut it at the source. Like if it feels like this isn't worth it, like if I tell myself that too many times, like it's hard to build that confidence back up. And you know, with a character like Mega Man, even on a bad day, like you know, the next day I'll be thinking about a bunch of new things I can do, and it's like this is what I want it to feel worth it, and it does. And maybe it's just the type of character I want to play and be comfortable with, but I feel like that's why Sephiroth's at least like on a break right now, because I don't want to just pick something and then after the fact feel like it's not worth it. And
Yeah, yeah.
that's why I'm giving this character lineup a shot, and so far so good. So
I think that just makes sense from like a character archetype standpoint, where I feel like you have to play as rigid as Mega Man could be. I feel like Sephiroth is probably that much more, where you literally have to change not just your whole like how you're playing, but your whole tempo. Mega Man, you could kind of tempo however you want, even though you change how you play. You know?
yeah,
So it's like there's that fluidity within the
yeah,
character. I think that makes it a little
I think
novel.
with Mega Man he feels rigid just because he's so unique. But one of the conversations I had with Peanut is the more you play, like the more not only will it be less rigid, like it might even end up being the opposite if you get
Yes.
comfortable enough. Whereas Sephiroth, it's like there's so much you have to do to avoid being rigid, and it's not like there's like much of a reward to it either.
That I
Like
agree. I think
it's
that's
a
like
lot of empty movement. You're not pressing a lot of buttons. Like, and it ends up being hard to put pressure on or taking stocks, and like you know
they're both like mental games, but one of them is like you have to be kind of too far ahead with Sephiroth because you're more committal on your inputs. Like you have to be like 5 steps ahead, where Mega Man like you could be like 2, and as long
yeah.
as you have a lead, you're fine.
And
You
it's
know?
starting to feel like it's not for me, because I feel like there's a difference. Like there's so many different kinds of defensive play, and I'm just starting to not be a fan of Sephiroth's version of it. Like Leo gave me the most simple answer of like you should play Sephiroth but just can't more, and it's like, all right, like maybe I'll just try something else at this point, because like
Well,
you
that's
know
what
Me too.
always, yeah, that's what always kind of off put me with you playing Sephiroth. I was like, okay, well, I think Gavin's playing Sephiroth because he really likes the character aesthetically, right?
yeah
But when I think about Sephiroth gameplay wise, it's not a high APM character. It's actually slower APM, which is, I wouldn't say easier to play, but it just makes it harder in a sense where you have to play so slow because things are so committal, because things have so much lag. And I think the thing you had the most fun with was the orbs, the side B,
yeah.
and that move just sucks. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't even know how to sugarcoat it. Like there are scenarios where it's pretty good, but at top level of play, you usually get a ledge trap from it. And guess what? Sephiroth's ledge trapping is not that great. There's not a lot of proactive threats that you can throw out, and proactive threats are very important when you're ledge trapping. And if you don't have proactive threats, then it's like, well, it kind of just. I'm
Is my
sorry.
Can
I
y'all
started
hear
talking.
me?
I started talking
Yeah,
shit
we
about
could see
Sephiroth, and he just started glitching
you
out.
just turned into missing no for a second.
Yeah, what the fuck?
But yeah, like,
I'm becoming a robot in real life.
Sephiroth
What's
was not
happening?
that technical, so I always wondered what your draw to the character was, and I think the draw to you was
It's
trying to
just
make a
Sephiroth.
character. Well, one aesthetically, I mean,
Yeah.
just Sephiroth looks really fucking cool, and then trying to make a character work that doesn't have these like blaring strengths or whatnot. And then there was like these handful of tools that you really liked, like Shadow Flare, and I remember even like way months back, I was like, yeah, honestly, I think you'd be a better Sephiroth if you just spammed back air. Like, I know that's what Ken usually does, but I honestly think when you look at the character's movesets, that's really his best move by far, or like at least one of his best moves, where it's like the safest. It feels like the move that you can kind of like mash out, be proactive with, and stuff like that. But I know you're more of a side B kind of guy, but then Steve can roll in on you to get hit by side B and kill you or deal 70 if you have good SDI or whatever, right? So it's
It's
so
tough because
hard.
it's not like he's terrible either, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
and he has a lot of value against certain characters, but it's just like I'm just kind of down to try something new. Just regardless if it's about like better or worse case or like better or worse outcomes, it's more so about like just having fun. So a lot of people are asking like why I'm doing it, and there's really like no crazy complicated answer. It's more so just about giving a character a shot that I always wanted to, that I just never did. Like I never even played Mega Man seriously in Smash 4, so um,
That's
yeah,
the
that's
beauty of
about it.
Ultimate too, right? There's so many characters you can try and
Yeah,
play. So I think the fact that you and Leo have very large character rosters and have been like that throughout the history of the game, I think that's a really cool concept. I
yeah,
like that.
for
And
sure.
it shows that you guys understand Smash to such a level that you guys have the largest successful character rosters to my knowledge. I don't know like the actual statistics behind it, but if I had to take a guess, the two best players that have like won the most tournaments with like a wide selection of characters, I would assume would be Leo and Tweek. So
I think that's a
yeah, I
fair
think it's cool.
assumption. Yeah.
The blessing and curse.
Definitely a blessing and curse. Yes, it's definitely
like
not.
after Battle of BC, I was kind of just like I said with my conversation with Mutace, where it's like I'm just gonna like tap more into it rather than avoiding it. Like if I have a feeling that I want to do something, I'm just gonna fucking do it.
Yeah,
like,
worst case, you just get information, right?
yeah, like
I think the thing you want to avoid is overthinking it and spending so much time overthinking it
and then
that
not doing anything. Yeah,
and then not getting any information from it,
yeah.
right? So that I think that's the worst case
Like
scenario.
it has to come down to like being confident in like what I've been successful with, and like not being afraid to like act on my like smash urges, I guess.
Learn to follow that intuition. That could only lead you to good things.
Yeah,
In my opinion, I guess. But I think
yeah,
sort of objectively.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for Crown. I mean, we can real quick. I'll just
Yeah.
like for the audio listeners, I'll list off the top 32 seeds. So this is looking like a crazy tournament. So from the top, we got Spargo, Tweek, MK Leo, Light, Shuton, Sonics, which is fantastic because we didn't get to see Sonics at Battle of BC5,
yes.
but we got to see Sonics, who was able to take his first set online at Momocon. So that'll be fun to watch. And then at 7th seed, we got T into Onin, Meister, Karama, Zamba, Apollo Kage, Ken, Gact, Cosmos, Jackal, Chase, Luis, Capitancito, Send, Base Mage, Chag, Ned, Dark Wizzy, Kronos, Quandale, Monty, Yanni, Stroder, Krieg, Ludo, and Atada. So very excited. So those are the top 32 seeds of
Yeah.
Crown coming up this weekend, which will be very fun to
Adding
watch.
some people to the mix that weren't at Battle of BC, I think, is the most exciting thing, at least
Yes.
for me. And I'm sure for a lot of people, like T and Sonics, for example, is a really exciting to see. Like, it kind of puts into perspective, like, oh, how would they have done if they were at Battle of BC? How are they going to do versus some of the people that did really well at Battle of BC? Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see how long Spargo can keep this streak going because
Yeah.
I think right now it's pretty undisputed that
He's
Spargo
not slowing down anytime soon, it looks like, so we'll see.
Yeah, he's pretty convincingly, I would say, took Battle of BC5. So.
Yes.
This is his arc. This is
Yes.
the Spargo arc.
We are
I'm
living in
definitely
it
here
for
it.
sure.
Very cool.
Did he have a game 5 at Battle of BC?
Not in top 8.
Jesus.
Maybe outside of top 8, but
Yeah.
it.
I don't think so, but maybe.
I don't think so. Because even Mutace, who had a clean 3-0 record on Spargo, and most of the community thinks that Cloud beats Peach just in terms of just character versus character.
Yeah.
So, I mean, was able to get the first win on Mutace he's ever gotten in his career in Ultimate, and did it in a 3-1 fashion. So,
Yeah.
very.
I feel like that was the breaking point for like, all right, I can just win this entire tournament entirely because, you know, Mutace was that big factor of like, you know, this
Bracket
is
demon,
a
yeah.
tournament deciding set, like how the tournament's going to play out. So when you beat a bracket demon or something, it's like, all right, what's stopping you now?
Yeah, same with Mute versus Meister at Genesis, and Mute went
Yeah.
on to get second at that tournament, which was like a crazy wild run.
Tough matchup or tough set record. Like, if you get through that, like, you know, what's stopping you from winning the whole thing?
Yeah, the power up is real for sure, right?
Do you want to
All
get
right.
into
bonus
Patreon
topic?
content?
Yes, sir. All right, so we're going to jump to recording our Patreon content, which is going to be how to deal with some of the frustrating aspects of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So, yeah, we're going to get into that. If you guys like the content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out our Patreon. You want to take us out, Tweek?
Have a good one. See you at Crown. Bye.
Bye.